Okay.
We're going to blast them.
All right, welcome to the Committee of the Whole. And well, we have somebody in the gallery. Welcome. Old habits die hard. So the Committee of the Whole meeting, it was the 4th day of November 2025. It's 5 o'clock. So we'll call this meeting to order. We'll acknowledge the town of Carson is on traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. The agenda is before you. Is there any additions or adoptions to it? Seeing no hands raised up, then we will move to adopt. Does somebody put their hand up? Okay. Ron, I guess I better call you. Councillor Johnson moves to adopt. All in favor? Okay. Seeing that there is no delegations, we'll move on to the adoptions of the minutes from October 7th, 2025. Mayor?
I make a motion to adopt the minutes of October 7th, 2025.
All in favor? Okay, let's move right on. Budget, our favorite thing.
Okay, welcome, council. We'll jump right into budget. There's just a few things. Jill continues to pick away. We continue to get stuff in from our departments. What I was hoping to do tonight is really just look at some key operational numbers. I don't have capital wound up nicely that I want to present it just yet. So I'd like to talk about the operational side of the budget, give you some idea of what we built the budget on, and then get your feedback. And obviously, I gave you last week's sheet when we met before. If there's any questions along the way, please interrupt and ask those questions. I will try and go through this relatively quickly. I don't have a ton of things to go over, but I do have probably 20 lines or so that I just wanted to touch base on to make sure that there was an understanding. I apologize if I'm a bit redundant from last week. I don't remember exactly the things we hit on, but I'll try and be quick.
And please, if you have questions,
just
hold up your hand. We'll have to throw out your question there. Remember, this is a CCW, so there'll be no motions made in this meeting. That comes next week.
No. So this is your largest policy document that you do as a council. So you need to be comfortable enough with it. So you ask anything, there's nothing beyond your scrutiny in this document at all. I just wanted to start with the green. So we'll use the first column is green. This is the tax budget, as we call it, the main one, everything that isn't utilities and everything that isn't electrical. So just to give you some idea, we kept 2025 on the left just for comparison, but in 2026, we based this budget on a 2% tax revenue increase. So that doesn't necessarily mean a 2% increase in the rate, because we have to see how much new assessment and increased assessment. My guess is we just got some indicative numbers from the province on equalized assessment numbers for 2026, and they estimate the town will be about 6.5% higher in equalized assessment into 2026. So those discussions we'll have in April, that perhaps there isn't a need to move the rate or to even move the rate down, if that is in fact the case. And it also depends on how we balance this thing. So again, this is not being presented to you as balanced. Let me also be clear about that. But we've based it on 2% tax revenue increase. And so on page 1, that was really the things. Everything else is reasonably self-explanatory. I'll touch on some of these. There's offsets to some of these. So for example, if we have a revenue on school taxes, there's an expense on school taxes. I'll talk about that on the next page. The only real change, you'll see a lot in blue boxes to the right if you go about halfway down page 1 under recycling fee. So we've changed how recycling is administered provincially now across the province has changed, and Circular Materials is now the de facto contractor for recycling in every community across the province. And so this year we've entered into contract with them. So hey, Councillor Kenley. Hope he can hear us. Thumbs up if you can hear me, Councillor Kenley. Okay, great. So it's an interesting contract because they give us revenue, and then we also have additional expenses. So I'll talk about that on the other side.
Now, are they building a new building for all this stuff, or?
So that isn't currently the case. Our current contract, and Joshua's been negotiating it, but if I'm not mistaken, October next year is when this first one expires, and then there'll be a change in service. Does that sound right? That sounds familiar. Yeah. So we expect that next October it will be curbside pickup. We think it'll be blue bag pickup by a large operator out of Lethbridge, and they'll pick a day for Cardston and they'll do the whole town in that day. That's what we're anticipating.
So one more question, Darcy.
Yeah, of course.
Darcy will be doing
Well, it's still garbage. So this is just recycling.
just recycling.
Yeah, they have no interest in the solid waste side.
All right.
Yeah, and just residential, not commercial recycling, which was also interesting.
So cardboard,
But-
but not bottles or plastic or anything.
So anything that is arrived from a commercial entity, they don't want. I know this, Circular could watch this meeting at some point, they likely won't, but we had quite a debate with them about, how do you know what percentage of the cardboard in the bins is residential and commercial? Who's determining that? So right now they're taking all of that because there's no way to determine how much is whose. So we've gone down that road.
Question here.
Councillor Kenley, I don't think can hear.
Yeah, you can.
Did he?
He could at first.
Can you hear now?
Councillor Kenley, can you hear us?
He just sent up a message saying he
Oh.
couldn't.
You heard me originally, didn't you?
He did. There's no sign language.
1 second, council. Oh, I know why. Yeah, there's a good reason why. I gotta just.
I'll just
Jill,
text
can you
him.
Grab those, the mic
But
and
you glad
the
way I raised my voice to see if you can.
Yeah. 1 minute, counselor. We'll get you. I don't know why he gave me the thumbs up there originally.
You did.
he did.
You did.
Yeah, sorry, there's a tie-in for the speaker system and the microphone system. Well, you got quite the knot going there, Joe. You got, like, right by your leg, you got all the slack you need.
He's got thumbs up now.
Okay,
We're good.
Did that help? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll see an expense on the expense side for the recycling as well, and we'll keep you posted on how this goes. The previous council, you may recall some discussions, we were trying to negotiate through that. One thing that's been nice is that we're still using Cardston Support Services to manage all of the materials, and then they are taking it we're taking it into Lethbridge to that recycling facility. So we've kept the contractor in place. They're still offering the service they were before, but we actually were able to increase their contract a little bit. And so I think right now it's okay, but we do expect regional changes come next fall. So that's why we created a new line there. So we have our general recycling revenue, which comes on your utility bills. When you look at your bill, you've got $3 and change or something a month for recycling, and then also the revenue now from circular materials. So again, as I turn pages, it doesn't mean you guys have to be done on that page. Ask me, but I'm good to go to page 2 here. And nothing much different here. This is all pretty consistent year to year. And the only thing, we did tweak golf course. So I have all my revenues on the golf course done for the year. So we're closed. We've done all that. We did reduce them this year based on the last 3 years average. So we brought them down to be more realistic to what we did not meet budgeted numbers on green fees or membership fees. We did on the other categories. So we brought them down to be more what we think is actual. So those are roughly the last 3 years average. Overall, we were, compared to last year, we were only about 2% down on the year. So I want to talk about the golf course more on the expense side, just so you have some indication of how that plays into the whole municipal scheme. So golf course revenue was adjusted since the last one you saw. And
Is the golf course like other parks and rec where you just hope to break even, or you don't make money off?
no, the golf course, we've had very profitable years.
Yeah.
COVID was excellent. It was really, really good. And then we've done actually fairly well since COVID as far as breaking even. Cost recovery at, say, pool and rink, for example, are maybe 50%, just north of 50%. I would say golf course many years is fully cost recovered, not including capital. I need to caveat that. So if we go buy 15 carts, it's not going to cover that in that year. That's for sure. The other thing I'll get to on the expense side, I won't get into it too much here, but previous councils have budgeted to transfer some golf revenue to reserves, and some years we have sufficient revenue to cover it, and some we don't. But it's not a mandatory expense. It was the desire of council to transfer some to future reserves, and some years we can't do it. So I'll do a further analysis on the golf course when all of our expenses are in, all the revenues are done. Once we're closed, we can't take it anymore, but I still have some staff there cleaning up and tidying up. So I'll get expenses wrapped up and we'll go over that more thoroughly. So that's all the revenue side that we're looking at operationally. And I should have mentioned, sorry, that and I apologize, I'm going to skip over things, and you new counselors need to boldly correct me when I miss something. Back on the first page, we have, it's about 6-7 lines down, it's provincial conditional other, it's 1-07-841. When you see acronyms like LGFF, that's the local government fiscal framework. So for Councillor Selk, you'll remember MSI. Okay, so this is the rebrand of MSI.
Okay.
Councillor Johnson, I don't think MSI was even around when you were on, but so you recall MSI, this is rebrand MSI. It's a better formula in many ways. So it's linked to provincial revenues. So when the province does well, it moves. When the province doesn't, it comes down. There was this agreement that we would share the spoils when they were there, and that we would take, we would trim that when they weren't there. But it is a legislated amount now. So before it was very much at the whim of the minister of the day, and now it is a legislated percentage of a number of revenue streams are redistributed to municipalities.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So Jeff, with MSI, it was just given out to everyone.
Yep.
Same with LGFF.
Yeah.
So like those municipal districts, like
Yep.
Wood
Opportunity and Wood Buffalo, and they can't find enough filing cabinets for their money, but they get their same allocation. I was
I don't get that.
no, I hear you.
You
But-
explain that?
So what's happening is you've got one of the challenges in provincial funding formulas. LGFF is no exception, although they consider it a tiny bit. One of the big criticisms of MSI, the former Municipal Sustainability Initiative, it was essentially a formula that said, what's your population, what's your kilometers of roads? There was a couple other little things. It wasn't much more than that. And municipalities were saying, okay, we have the ability to generate this much revenue per person. Some of these other municipalities generate 10 times what we do per person. They don't even need to tax hardly.
Mhm.
You know, you take the oil field counties, for example, where they take in so much on linear taxation, the taxation of oil equipment and oil camps and that, they don't even need to tax their residents, but they get the same per capita amount as everyone else.
Okay.
So there was a strong argument, Councillor Selk, at LGFF. And in fact, I was very lucky to be asked to be on an advisory panel for that grant formula. And I lobbied hard to say, we need to ratchet down when your assessment per capita goes over a certain amount, your allocation should ratchet down.
Mhm.
So for every dollar per capita that it goes up over a threshold, you get ratcheted down on provincial transfers.
Hmm.
It didn't take my advice, but I offered it. And it wasn't just my advice. It was allowed from many communities, particularly the urbans. And I don't mean to draw a wedge between the urbans and the rurals, but particularly the urbans were saying, hey, our assessment per capita is usually much, much lower than the assessment per capita of the rurals. So why don't we ratchet that back and distribute it better? And you can imagine every equity argument that could be made, right? So yeah, the counties like County of Grand Prairie, MD of Opportunity, Wood Buffalo, even Strathcona County to some degree, Leduc County, incredibly wealthy. They don't need LGFF,
No.
but they get it on the same formula. And you can understand that argument too, right? You may not like it, but
No.
you can understand it.
Just as an aside, this will show you the difference. I was talking to a counselor from Grand Prairie. They get paid $100,000 a year to be a counselor. Then their expenses are on top of that.
Just to
You
give you
know,
another
we-
example,
So-
Councillor Weiner, this was years ago, I was speaking to a councillor from Wood Buffalo, and they basically said, yeah, we don't need any of the province's money. If there's something we want, we just go buy it.
Yeah.
I had to
They
walk
have their own
away. 'cause
swimming
it-
pools, their own skating rinks, everything.
Yeah, so that,
I was just gonna say, it boils down to even like small communities. It's the same thing. I was sitting at Alberta municipalities at a roundtable discussion, and I was, trying to, how do we get money for a rec center? How do we get money for just different things? And I think it was Fox Creek, or I can't remember. They were like, "Don't you just do it?" And I was like, "What?" And they said, "Well, we talked to, I think it was like a Canadian Hunter, or it was a natural gas, whoever that has a drilling rig outside in their backyard. And so they went to them. And so like, they don't even know. Like,
So I picture us
you know,
very cool because of the
Jeff
gas pump
says,
there.
Jeff says to drive a wedge in between us. It's already there. Some of us are living in a completely different world than the rest of them, for sure.
Yeah, it's a very different environment. I mean, yeah, exactly right.
Period.
I know that some of those large counties struggle to justify any residential taxation at all.
Oh,
They don't need it.
Yeah.
And they're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars in reserves for something someday.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting scenario.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry I brought that up.
No,
Yeah, it's
it's perfectly legitimate. It's just for everyone. It's a can of worms.
Continue on.
So back to page 3, I just wanted to mention when you see that LGFF, there's an operating component and there's a capital component. And we get transfers for both. Now, just so you know the trend in 2026, it's up a little bit, but no, wait, was it the other way, Jill? Do you remember? I might be a year behind in my head. 2025, it peaked, I think, and then they told us to expect it to be coming off for a few years because of
They're running a deficit.
the deficits the province running. So we'll watch that from year to year and keep you informed on that. On page 3, this is where the expenses, so operating expenses start. I just wanted to mention the first 2 lines, that school, non, and school residential. So that's the education requisition. Those of you on the previous term watch that almost exponentially increase. It's got to be 30 or 40% higher than just on your term. The province has a goal to generate more revenue from municipal taxation for school. And we expect that number by the time we do mill rate in April to be much higher. Now, generally, I am not trying to suggest what your philosophy should be as a council, but generally and historically, the philosophy has been that school taxes are a flow-through. We don't use municipal taxation generally to subsidize the bill to the province for schools. So we flow it through. Whatever the province says our bill is, we put it in our rate and flow it through and collect it and send it to the province. And we direct people to their MLA if they're upset about how much that's increased, which is where it should go. So we'll talk about that more as we get into spring because we'll get that requisition amount from the province, but we expect it to continue to climb. Same thing with policing, which is just 5 lines down, policing requisitions. So at the beginning of your previous term, council, we didn't pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
And in a very short few years, we're up to $200 and expected $14,000 and no indication of a ceiling on that. And what's frustrating is the province has also been incredibly vague on what the plan is with this. Are we doing a provincial policing? What are we doing? What are we doing with the sheriffs? What's the role of these different groups in our province? So this has been an interesting ride. We have no assurance of a cap on this yet. So we continue to wait and see.
Mayor.
What I can say is for the new counselors, when I first got on council, like Jeff said, this wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even there. And then the government brought it about. But what is a little ironic is we are paying like other areas, but we're not getting more. It's one thing if we pay and we get more. Yeah, we don't. We pay and we get just what we had when we were paying nothing, which is rough.
Councilor Selk.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Because my question, Jeff, is how much input do we have with the RCMP and the sheriffs in terms of what they're doing in our town for the $250,000 we're giving them?
Do you want the short answer?
Please.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let me explain. So one of the things that's on the provincial, what we call it, radar right now is that exact question. So municipalities went back to the province and said, okay, look, if we have to live with this, we have to live with it. But what's our input mechanism?
Mm-hmm.
How do we have input into local priorities? Because under 6,000 people, I believe, you were not allowed under the legislation to have a policing committee in your community. So that was not even permitted. You couldn't have any type of council seat at the policing priorities because it was contracted from the RCMP and they weren't going to have every little town have political representation on the policing priorities. So since this has come into play, there's a lot more discussion on that very issue. And now the province is looking at saying, okay, how do we do that? The current model that they're looking at is they're creating one politically represented body from the small communities to meet provincially and with K division, like at that level.
Mhm.
So they're not saying that every group, every community should have one, but we will assemble a larger group and meet on a larger scale. Now, we have been very lucky that all my time here, the staff sergeant that we've had has always been open to having a local, we just call it an ad hoc committee because we're not allowed by legislation to have a formal committee.
Mhm.
But we've always been really lucky. Councillor Court, you've been on that quite some, you've been on it before, I believe. And so we've always had at least the ear of the sergeant. Bob's actually coming to your next meeting to introduce himself and talk about what their priorities are. And he always comes and asks council about, here's what our goals are for next year. What do you think? What the input is? So that has voluntarily been the case, that we've had a seat at the local table, but we have no legislative authority to mandate one. And with the sheriffs, there's nothing I'm even aware of being talked about.
Okay.
So it is kind of a strange and confusing thing because sometimes we have 3 different police forces in town here. Sheriff's, RCMP, and our own CPO.
Yep.
So it's, I think they're trying to get into an Alberta police force, but it's taking them more than they thought. And
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of up in the air.
So I assure
paying for it.
you'll be hearing more about this item. There's no question about it. Especially we're going to go to AV Muni's conference. I'll bet you there's a speaker or a session on it. Like it's a really hot topic in the province right now.
Unfortunately, the only other option is that we provide our own police force, which really isn't an option.
No,
for
that
the cost.
would be wildly
Cost to
costly.
be way off
Yeah.
base.
I assume the sheriffs only come to town to hand out speeding tickets and generate revenue.
So
They don't actually do anything to help us.
yeah,
No, they,
the reason we've had, by the way, we've had a lot of sheriffs over the last 6 months in town, and part of that, well, I'd say even the last year, and part of that, my comment's a touch cynical, but bear with me. Part of it was the knee-jerk reaction to the Trump threats for border security. So all of a sudden we had a Black Hawk helicopter and sheriffs everywhere,
I've seen this.
right? And that was this, hey, we're all of a sudden going to take this super serious, and we're going to have all these sheriffs on the southern border. And so we saw this massive spike, and we even had, the previous council will remember, and this was public, our sergeant came to council and said, look, these guys are out of control, and we don't condone any of this. Like, we're here to do community policing. We're trying to build relationships. These guys are just coming in and being punitive up and down the highway. You know, we're going to try and, I think Bob actually said we're going to try and cut back on what we normally do to compensate for the extra they're doing. But we had no say in this. We don't know when they're coming. We know nothing about it.
A former mayor, not Maggie, but the one before, invited them to never come back again. They were sitting there with their boss and, we don't want you here, don't ever come back. But
Yeah,
they
so
come
it's a
back.
challenge.
They don't listen to us.
But yes, the border security has increased our sheriff numbers for sure.
Yep.
in the community. Yep, no question.
Not to keep it going, but who do the sheriffs answer to? Like
Solicitor General of the province.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Ministry of Justice and Solicitor General,
Okay.
and they report to the Solicitor General, who is the minister of that department.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, see, this is how these things get going.
That's all right.
So this is great.
New
You know,
council, and it's
These
good.
next few meetings are heavy orientation, so it's all good. So I don't have too much more on page 2 or 3. It's fairly normal. Our insurance is always a problem. It's always an increasing expense. We expect it to go up a lot in 2026 because, well, one, we just had a $2.9 million claim from the hail, so that never helps. And 2 is they reassess the value of all of our facilities. So then the total value we're insuring is set to go up substantially. So we are expecting some increases there. You will see insurance expense across all departments. You'll see that 15 times in these budgets because we try and allocate public works insurance to public works and administration to administration and so on. Page.
Jeff, I just had a question.
Oh, yep.
Sorry.
Are we getting any money for our beautiful clubhouse at the golf course right now?
What do you mean? Sorry, explain what you mean by getting money for it, Counselor.
Our insurance claim.
Oh, for the current one? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not repairing the current building. We are getting a little payout for it.
Oh, good. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, we told them not to put any money back into that building. So
Jared, if I miss you, just speak up. If you don't, like, we'll catch you.
yeah, if I might, Councillor Kenley, just so you know, the one thing we did replace was in the cart sheds there was clear panels for light to come in there. So we replaced all that. Other than that, the metal was mildly dimpled, and we didn't
I was
want
trying to make a joke, but it didn't obviously flip.
Well, I'm sorry to give a serious answer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
We got enough
Um,
insurance money to buy a paw.
Yeah, no, they're not paying us out a lot on that old building either, let me be clear. But it won't be insured for, anymore. Okay, I just wanted to show you on page 4, about middle of the page, 212505. So the GL account. This is a new line as of 2025 called tax cancellation. So council passed a tax abatement bylaw. So a new business comes into the community, they can apply to the town, and if they have a new building or add life to another building, then council can choose to waive taxation. So what you're seeing there, we still treat it as a taxable entity as far as our total tax we take in, and then we have a line item that backs it out, that looks like an expense. So what you saw in 2025 is council waived $45,000 worth of taxes for new investment in the community. But that's graduated and it goes down. The agreement on this one is 20% a year. So what you'll see is that number's getting smaller by 20% every year until we're not abating anything else anymore. They're paying their full taxes. But it will change from year to year as you get applications and approved new facilities. So that's just how we're dealing with it. We're still putting everything in the full tax line and then showing it as a line item of what's being pulled back for that promotion. That's the wrong word. Initiative is the better word. So you'll likely, Councilor Court, not to mention anything in this meeting, but we were just talking about one that will possibly be an applicant for that. And we expect a couple others coming in. So you'll get very familiar with that for sure. I wanted to talk about, this is small dollars, but for my previous counselors, page 5, the very first line, this is under our bylaw enforcement expenses, and we've added a couple $1,000s a year. Remember we did the analysis of all the signage and traffic issues, and we did some community engagement. We talked to the driving instructor, we talked to the school division, the RCMP, the peace officer, and we have a line of about 40 places where we want to make improvements to the signage or different things for traffic. So this is just to pick away at that every year. Start at the high priorities and work our way down. So I just wanted to show you that we did add some money in for that. I wanted to also explain on page 5, 223765. So this is another kind of line item you'll get familiar with, but this is a great one to just talk about. So this is where you are taxing for a portion of a future thing. So instead of taxing in 1 year for our half of a fire truck, which would be roughly $375,000, we're doing $50,000 a year, putting it away, and then when we have enough and it's time to replace what we've been trying to do is take the volatility out of the tax rate. Well, this year we need a new fire truck, so we got to up your taxes by 5%. Next year we don't need it, we can bring it down. It's like, let's just do 50 a year. And then, so that you'll see that a lot. That's a common thread through here, again, trying to level out tax volatility and keep it fairly steady. So I just use that as the first example we come to of a significant amount. New trucks and Councillor Brown, you're on that committee, they're going to be pushing $1 million probably when we get to the next one. It's just wild. I'm sounding old. When I started, they were under $500,000. I mean, it wasn't like horses in a buggy and a tank or anything, but
Close.
it's
There.
That's exactly right. And the reason we don't have a lot in that account right now is because we just bought one.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago-ish, somewhere in there, we just bought one. And so it's escalating, like just escalating. I sat on that committee, and that was something that we looked at. Should we be pre-buying the chassis and the framework now? But we decided not to, that we would just keep our money in the bank and continue to
What's
have
the
it grow.
replacement times on those? Like how many years till they usually?
I want to say 15 is what the insurance bureau says.
Sorry, in replacement?
Like
How-
in replacing a fire
full
truck.
truck,
Like a
Well, so that's a great question. If you ask the fire chief, he would want it a lot sooner because it goes according to hours, right? How many calls it's had on it. If we're talking miles on it or certain other things, it would be a lot less. But yeah, roughly
There
you're
is some
looking at.
insurance industry standards that they don't want them any older than a certain amount. But yes, the hours, the condition of pumps, all that stuff matter.
But to be fair, at the same time, we turned and sold our last truck. So we sell it and then take that money. It goes to another community somewhere, and then we take that money along with what we have in the county and everyone else and buy something ridiculously
Okay.
expensive.
2 councils ago, Councillor Selk and Court, I believe, were on that committee. They negotiated the capital share with the county, so we share that with the county. So the county pays, I think it's up to, is it 60-40 now, I believe, on capital? So they pay 60%, we pay 40%.
Because most of the fires are in the county. That's where most of the.
Yeah. So page
Harvest
6
time.
for me, just another thing I just wanted to mention, that it's a big dollar, but you see it intermittently. About a third of the way down the page, 2-32-501 on page 6, we have street materials. Now, in 2025, you'll see there was a $100,000 expense that council we approved and we expended for crushing. What that is we accumulate a ton of old cement and asphalt as we do capital projects. And we stockpile that, and then once it gets to quite a mountain, we bring in a company that crushes it all to aggregate. We can use it for pit run, for road base, and we can use it for topping. But this last one that we did, we ended up with a really big inventory, and so we're not really sure when the next one needs to be. So that's why you might see some big swings in those types of expenses, is that we've got quite a lot of inventory right now in that aggregate. I think that's all.
Jeff, I had a question.
Yep.
On the just under that where it says line painting, is that something that we're just paying a company to do our lines?
Yep. Correct.
Have we ever thought about doing that in house, like getting a machine and doing that in house? Is that a possibility?
I'm certain it's a possibility. I haven't looked into it that thoroughly. That might make sense, but I don't know that for sure, Councillor. You know, it's something I could ask Brandon to have a look at.
I don't know how much those machines are, but it might. I mean, if it costs $100,000, you make it up in 8 years, right? So,
Well, it's
anyways.
not costing $100,000 though.
Yeah, I don't know.
14,000. That what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
14,000 a year. Yeah.
The machine.
Yeah, but if you bought a machine for
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that would be, it's something we could sure look at, Councillor. I don't know.
That was just an idea. That's all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. I didn't have anything on page, actually 7 or 8, 9. But again, if anything, please hit me up. They're all pretty consistent. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing material, we'll call it. Looking at my notes here quick. Oh, I was going to make an assumption, and if I can, Chair, Councillor Corey, I'll direct this to Councillor Kenley, but are we keeping fireworks at their new historical amount?
Yes, it is staying there.
We increased that quite a bit last year.
10,000.
Yeah, at the behest of Councillor Kenley mostly, and the question Jill and I were asking is he going to let us walk back from that number now, or does it have to stay at the 10,000?
Are fireworks planned for the
No.
winter carnival?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
they're not doing that.
That's disappointing, but but it's costly too.
So yeah, I just we've left it there, Councillor Kenley, just so you know.
Mayor
But-
has a comment there.
So on page 8,
Yep.
to very end, library, 2-74-052.
Yep.
So is that their requisition? We've already received it?
So Jill, did I? So no and yes. So no, it's not. But we just got. Okay, actually,
The meeting is
Councillor
next
Cord will get that next week.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
out.
I think it's been. Oh, I think it's been prepared, but it
Okay.
has not been formally.
Okay,
sent.
I just wondered if
Yeah.
that was
I'll be
an
gone to
action.
Florida, so she's gonna
Yeah.
see it
Yes.
for me.
So you
Okay.
should get it
Okay.
next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right,
We'll get it, but
a question.
Yeah.
Since we have such a large stockpile of aggregate, whatever,
Mhm.
why don't we sell some to McGrath, because they could sure use it.
Well,
that's
they
true.
just gotta come asking. We can figure something out.
We could offer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Have one thing you will notice on page 9. Page 9 under. So I'm into Parks and Recreation now. There's quite an increase percentage-wise in the campground contract, but keep in mind that's a percentage of total revenues.
Right.
And so on the revenue side, that also increased by the same percentage. we had a really good year overall last year with that expansion. It was quite busy. It seemed to make good sense financially. There seems to be some return. Previous council will remember that got to be an expensive project to get it finished, but it seemed to be going over well. So
They add new sites and power
Yeah,
and stuff like
correct.
that. Okay.
Yeah, on the south end of the main area, we added I think another 17 or 18 sites.
Okay.
And we built a new
New
entrance.
washrooms and that kind of thing. So
Mm.
it seemed to go over quite well. So those kind of things are just proportionate to revenue. You can see just the normal stuff there. Nothing too major.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
About Spray Park? Is that $5,000, is that just for maintaining it? Repair and maintaining
So
it? That's-
depending on the year, like, and I, not to be too pessimistic, but one year somebody filled all the outlets with epoxy and we had to replace them all. And some years people just beat the heck out of it. That doesn't count the water. So the
Okay.
water bill is outrageous, but it's a fun little thing and it's okay.
That's great.
But that would be quite year dependent. If we can have a low vandalism year and things don't reach end of life, we wouldn't need that. Yeah, for sure. And we hope more years are like that. For me, I just wanted to talk for a minute about on page 11, and again, I'm always kind of pulling from discussions from the last council because there was a few things they wanted to see in this. On page 11, and it starts about halfway down the page, 272902 grants general. So what we've done here is the previous council wanted any of those reoccurring things that we donate to grouped into one account. So we used to have, like, under ECDEV was Historical Society, and under public relations was Freddy's, and for example, they were all over the budget. So we pulled them into one account so that you can look at those and scrutinize those more easily on a year-to-year basis. We are going to move just the general donations. There's just 1,000 in there right now. It probably needs to be more. We'll move that into its own account as well. So you'll have an account that's just for those donation requests that come in, and then everything that we've seen kind of on a reoccurring application basis. Now, some of these programs, I have their applications. We'll talk about those on the 25th. So I'll get those in front of you for review. But the previous council wanted those grouped. I think that's a good idea. You can see them a little better. They don't get lost in the minutia. And we'll go over that a little bit next year.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet, but I just got this.
Sure.
Signs, money into our signs. We were looking at
Oh, so the Main Street?
Main Street
The
sign.
entrance sign.
Entrance,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah. So
Is that in here?
we'll look at
under
that on
something?
capital.
Okay.
We do have some costs back. They were frightening.
I don't doubt it.
But we'll get you some
Okay.
costs. We'll bring
Okay.
them to you for sure.
Yep.
We have quotes back on it, and we'll look at
Okay.
that in capital. One of the things the previous council just wanted to get a feel for, like, what if we put a little like a screen on them or whatever? Just a screen without running power, which there isn't power.
Yeah.
And running communication, which there isn't communication, was $23,000 just for the screen. You have to understand how robust those have to be for vandalism.
For sure.
Right? They're just inviting. They're bright and shiny and inviting someone, and they're on ground level. They're low, so they're just inviting vandalism.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I was quite shocked at the number.
You'll find out, Mayor, on Alberta Southwest, they've done some work on the signage as well. I don't think the amount was a huge amount, though, to offset what it was going to cost, but
Yeah. So yeah, under your grants general, I should explain really quick the opportunities initiative. Every year, the town has a little bit of money. If you have an idea for an event that will bring people into town, it's some seed money to help you get going. And it is also on a graduated scale down. So year one, you might get 100% to whatever council agrees, and then 20% a year until you should be sustainable. As you get those requests, I'll bring you a spreadsheet of, we might have some from 3 years ago that are at 40% and one from 2 years ago at 60%. And so it's always kind of a bit of a moving thing. So we have an average amount that we spend per year in there. It's not huge, obviously, but that's at your discretion how much you want in there.
some of these have turned into really good events too. They've just
Yeah.
self-sustained and they're huge.
Yeah.
And we helped them out with the start on that.
Is the mini checks done or?
It's in an interesting transition. So they ran not in 2025, but they ran in 2024. And then the people that that do this they are a small group and they are a dwindling group.
Yeah.
And so they're not able to bring enough wagons to the competition to make it be the level of entertainment they wish it to be. That's what I would say. And so this year in fact, it was just in the paper last week. They've been bringing a couple of these folks down and inviting people who are interested in horses, that have horses and have teams, to try and get into the sport. And they're hosting it at the Ag Society, and they're doing demonstrations and letting people drive the little teams, and they're trying to generate some interest in the sport. But it is on recess right now, Councillor Johnson.
Well, Counselor, get your cowboy hat on and get over to the agriculture.
Use your small horses and get in the race.
It's a fun one.
So, Council, that's for today. Oh, I wanted to mention, one other thing. Let me find one here quick. I have it on a different sheet over here. Let's go to page 11, same page, 272762. So in almost every, not everyone, but almost every category, whether it's Parks and Rec, Protective Services, Administration, there's a transfer to reserve category. So in recreation, it says, for example, in the Rec Master Plan Reserve, 270,000, Campground 5, Civic Center 20, Agrodome 20. So this budget is proposing to tax $315,000 for recreation to go into reserves for future things. And it's guided by the majority of it by a recreation master plan. So how fast are things depreciating? When do they age out? How much do we need to replace them? That type of thing. So I just wanted to give you an idea. This budget, again, not balanced, by the way, and we have to tweak reserves a little bit to balance. But in this current document, we are proposing $1.3 million of transfers to reserves. Now, the utilities is where it gets big. More than half of that is in water, wastewater, and we'll talk about that next. But just to give you an idea, that one of the things that the previous councils have done fairly well is to look at the future and try and plan for that rainy day. This will also be in 2026 the biggest depletion of reserves the town has ever done, full stop, because it'll be clubhouse and sewer plant. And so there's $4 million, right there. Like if everything comes in where it should. If not, it might be more. But that's what reserves are for, though. I don't say that as a negative. That's exactly what they're for. You're putting away water and wastewater money every year for future things. When it's time to do that future thing, you should spend it.
Thankfully, our previous council mayor were big on that.
Yeah.
Put it away so you don't have to borrow as much. So
yeah,
a lot of credit goes to that.
So one thing I will just say that the number right now is 1.303, for example. Well, if we need $5,000 to balance the budget, often that number might become 1,298. Right? Because it's a number that it's not required. We don't owe anyone that money at the end of the day, but it's just good practice. So we use reserves to balance the final few dollars a lot of times. So you'll see that under most categories. So just be aware what that is. When you get the auditor to come report the financial statement, one of the documents you will have to approve is the reserves listing. And so we'll give you a really detailed breakdown of here's how much came in this year, here's how much went out this year, here's the balance of every category, and that's one of the documents you will approve as a council.
For some of you new councilors, and Jeff sometimes doesn't want to hear it, but sometimes you can. It's up to us where we put those reserves.
That's right.
The council directs where these funds go. So if you want to drop $10 million on a rec center, there goes your reserves.
Yeah.
But the things you have to be very careful with. But it's totally up to us what we do with that. So
one of the things too is if we get to the end of a year and we have some underspending in certain accounts, and I come back to council with a list and say, hey, in electrical we had $50,000. Where do you want to put it? In Parks and Rec we were underspent here. Where do you want to put it? So you'll have all that discussion too. I forgot I had one other thing in this budget, and it was around golf. I just wanted to give you some real quick idea. So it's on page 11 again. It gives you all the expenses.
Councilor Campbell's not here.
Oh, sorry. Oh, well.
He's probably just listening.
Yeah,
He's gone to work.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that in this current budget, not including transfers to reserves, so just operationally, this budget is projecting $147,500 loss at golf next year.
Because of the
Now-
clubhouse.
No, so not including capital.
Oh, okay.
Not including any capital. This is just operationally based on what our costs are to run the place. Now, I have, for the first time in many years, my management team in place for the golf course already next year, which is great. And one of our big discussions is working on labor, getting labor where it needs to be, so that that's our biggest cost. We'll spend $415,000 in labor at the golf course. So half of our total expenses are labor. So we're looking to see what we can do there to bring that down. If we've also budgeted a transfer to reserves of $125,000, which we don't have the revenue to support. But if you wanted to still do that, then we would have a loss of $272,000 at the course. So we've got some work to do on the expense side of this. You can push the revenue side as much as you can. Obviously, we want to do that. I'm really quite optimistic about some of the plans already in the works for next year for some interesting revenue generation. But I've got some work to do on the expense side, particularly on labor. So things like this year, I'll just give you an example. This was not a make or break, but we stayed open until the 24th of October or something. And because the weather was decent, but our daily revenues were like $300, $400. We didn't even cover labor. And so while those are nice and the members appreciate it, and you know what, it's not the end of the world, we do need to be very critical sometimes of some of those decisions of staying open another 2 weeks is always the right thing to do and again, it benefits our members. That's usually who's playing that time of year. There's not a lot of new revenue, so it gives them that benefit, and we were, it was fine to do it. But I still have I probably still have 2 or 3 people working out there for another week or 10 days to get it closed down. So it doesn't just end when the course ends. There's still a lot going on, so. We'll have more discussion about that, but I just wanted to give you an idea that the tax revenue will have to subsidize that to some degree based on current budget. And we did pull revenue down, right? I showed you the first part, I pulled the revenues down. I can increase those if you just want to feel better and break even on the budget, but that doesn't do anything about the realistic nature of it. Councillor Court, Councillor Sutton.
Sorry.
So, with respect to labor at the golf course, Jeff, is there been any sort of consideration about using volunteer help too?
So I haven't looked at it as a major component of the course. I'm not sure. We do have a few. We've probably got 2 for sure who are people who do they collect garbage every morning and offset their membership fee. For example,
that's not
that's pretty peanuts type of stuff, right?
What I'm talking about is I don't know, if a certain counselor that's got time on his hands wants to go out and drive a tractor or something like that and cut grass.
We could use a guy to marshal all the time. I know that. Yeah.
Okay. So, if you just wanted to do that kind of thing and you're not looking for any compensation.
Right. Yeah, we could look at what a structure like that would look like. I'm hoping Councillor Johnson could just have binoculars from the dashboard. Just really keep an eye on things for me, is what I'm hoping.
A little laser sight on it.
He'll be retired by next golf season, so.
I do watch, don't worry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. I can talk to our group with that.
I don't suggest that it'd be huge, but there might be able to twist some arms about giving back to the community.
Sure, okay.
I mean, Jeff, not that it's my responsibility but I do have a background of 7 years of being a controller for Paradise Canyon.
Sure, that's right.
So, if you need some help in
I will pick your brain on that
aspect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, I learned with the last council when those resources are around the table, I'll take advantage of them. So appreciate that. I just want to talk, and again, the next two will be pretty quick. I know we are already 48 minutes into this. The orange sheet, there's only a couple of lines, again, accepting anything else you guys want to talk about, but I just want to touch base on. This is the utilities budget. There's 2 things I just want to bring to your attention. The first one is the very first line, domestic water billing. We've reduced that by $100,000. Or not quite 100,000. That's just a wild guess right now until we do an analysis on the impact of the Moses Lake disconnection. And then on the other thing we're going to do is we reduced about 5 lines down on the domestic sewer building, but we're going to create a separate line for however this agreement lands on how we're billing the domestic sewer, all sewer coming out of Moses Lake. We'll create a new line item for that revenue. But we don't know what the agreement's going to say on that yet. So we're just waiting to get that done, and we'll build a line in there. I'm hoping it's in your next iteration of the budget.
Mayor,
So 19-95591. So aquifer study. So we're just literally, we weren't able to get it done last year, so we're just kicking the money forward.
This is 2025 you're looking at. That was last year.
But was it done, I'm saying?
We spent the money, but we did not successfully find the aquifer.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are we gonna kick
So I'll
any?
talk. We
Okay.
actually have that in the operating. So really quick for the new counselors, we were trying to see if we could find a substantial groundwater source. And we were hoping it was near the Lee Creek intake because we already had pumping infrastructure there. We didn't have to build a new building and run pump and electrical and everything. That drill was unsuccessful. It found very, very modest amounts of water, not sufficient for municipal supply at all. The driller has some hunches on where to look, but this is really a bit of a throwing the dart, you know? And so we need to have some discussion as we get closer to fine tuning the budget. If there's another 30,000 there that we could probably find, we might want to look at that. They've got some ideas. Yeah.
So we paid $35,000 and didn't find.
Correct.
That's super.
The challenge is you're trying to find something that's 100 and something feet underground.
We know there's water
And-
down there. It's just finding it.
Yeah, it's finding the right seam.
Get those like
The
water
witchers. Yeah,
That's
I
what
can
I'm
do
talking
that.
about.
Yeah.
That will
One of
cost
those
you
things.
Water
less.
witching
If
guys.
you guys
on
want to
that?
give me 35 grand, I'll do a job.
Yeah. Pretend to try.
I got my copper wires and I'll show you. So yes, and we'll talk
Okay.
about that a little bit more. But I just wanted, we are still working to figure out how we project our water and sewer rates based on the Moses Lake changeover, because obviously it has significant impact on the revenue, but the wastewater side might actually increase in revenue because we're going to capture all of the effluent instead of just per household, where we don't really know how much comes per house. And especially with their plant putting off tremendous amounts of effluent, and the new facility going to be putting off high amounts of effluent. We'll see how that plays out, but we're just working through that. I wanted to show you an interesting line, and it's just for context over the page. It's page 19 in this one, it's deeper into the document. 241792. We have an interesting number in here. This is that transfers to reserve. How much should we transfer to reserves for water and wastewater? So this one's just water. So what our infrastructure master plan tells us is we should transfer 300,000 for water intake and treatment. We should transfer 171,000 for distribution, 57,000 for system expansion, 57,000 for contingencies, and then 5,000 for meter replacement. What we put in here is we simply can't afford to transfer that much. We don't generate enough in the rate to transfer that much. So we're just putting, what's the budget shortfall in that? Well, it's 282,000. So we're netting out 306. That's actually how much out of the rate. By the way, I want to be clear, that's not out of taxes. That's out of the water rate that we're transferring to reserves. In a perfect world, we'd capture that $282,000. But you try and justify that in the rate to your residents in a short term, right? Previous councils, Councillor Selk's previous council forward, have been quite aggressive in utility rates. And the goal there was to try and remove taxation as a form of funding utilities and keep it solely in the rate. And I think philosophically, by the way, that's right. I think that's the right thing to do. But to try and capture all of your depreciation out of all of that infrastructure, it's probably too much to try and put on the backs of your residents. You know, your rate would go from $1.20, whatever it is now, $1.28 or $1.29 a cube to, $2.50 just right now. It's probably not reasonable. And it adds a real affordability, cost of living issue to people in the community. So this is a great example of where the political side meets the administration side. So I'm saying to you, hey, council, I want another $282,000 to transfer to reserves. And you're saying, hey, we're not willing to push the rate anymore. Okay, that's fine. We'll identify that it is what it is, and we'll move on.
Yep.
And that's what we'll do. So I just wanted to point that out. It's the only time in an expense you see this kind of shortfall number. We were just trying to identify how much are we short in a perfect world. But you're not obligated to make that expense. And that would be quite a burden on the residents. Other than that, honestly, in the utilities, I don't have too much in the operations to go over with you, council. It's fairly stable with the exception of navigating the Moses Lake transition. And then the last one is electrical, and I don't really have anything.
Mayor has a
Oh, sorry,
comment.
Counselor? Mayor?
Mayor.
Page 20. This is the 1-07-852. Well, kind of. It's under there. It's the Francophone school in regards to
Yep.
that.
So again, we haven't put anything in there.
Yeah.
Until we have some work to do on that as a group here. That line was for county contribution.
Okay.
And until we have a number that we're comfortable with, I'm not comfortable
Okay.
taking one to the county.
Yeah, me neither. But I just was wondering.
So we've left that blank
Thank
for
you.
now. It's there to remind us,
Sure.
frankly,
Okay.
but we've left it blank for now.
Thank you.
And I don't really have anything else to talk about on the electrical. We do have Equus doing a full rates analysis right now. I expect I'll be back to you for your December meeting, looking at distribution rates for the electrical system. That will guide this a lot. And Leonard and I are actually meeting tomorrow at 11 to go over his capital. So that's very quickly relative to the amount of lines, your operational side of the budget. I acknowledge fully that it doesn't capture priorities that you have as a new council yet. I fully acknowledge that. When we get into the new year, we do strategic planning. We come to your shared priorities and what you as a group prioritize. You have a chance anytime you want, but particularly before we set the tax rate, to infuse those priorities into the budget. So I would ask for your patience as we get through December so that we have something on the table. But always remember, this is your policy document. You will manipulate it as you see fit. And the April mill rate time is a great time to look at that because we'll know school requisitions, we'll know increased assessment, we'll know all those important things to make a better decision.
Okay. Just again, for information from new counselors, most communities wouldn't see this sheet. We're one of 2 towns that actually own our own electrical distribution system. And it's worked out pretty well for us so far. But anyhow.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Bylaw and policy review. Jeff will talk to most of these. I want to talk to the first one to begin with. Since we just barely passed this bylaw, I want to tear it apart a little bit, sorry to say. I put in front of you one of these things, a veterans crosswalk. This seems to be the fashion now in most communities. But we passed a policy, the neutrality bylaw, that would not allow this to happen. And if I can find the right spot, wherever it's at, I'll find it. I'll go on past it. Anyhow, it precludes from us for a number of reasons. So we allow on our flagpoles our own flag, the Alberta flag, the Canadian flag, blood tribe, and veterans flags. But we do not allow for changes on roadways. And I would like to make an exception to that because I know this could open a can of worms and you all get a chance to talk to about that as well. Because I think this is just a very good way of honoring our veterans. And I know that could open some can of worms, but we'll throw it open. And if the mayor wants to, she was talking about this earlier, she can bring that forward. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. So first of all, I think it's fantastic. I respect it and think it's incredibly important. My concern is when the previous council put forward this neutrality bylaw, it was so that we have to be careful what we're opening ourselves up to.
Yeah, I get that.
Essentially. So you're telling me we can do this, but we can't do this, right? It just becomes all of a sudden there's a bad guy and it just makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Is what
If you look at the information, it's on page 4 or 5 of the Neutrality Act, where it talks about flags and road markings. And I read a little bit further in there that one of the cities in Ontario ran into this very problem you were talking about. The Human Rights Commission came in and fined them. The very next year that their council passed a policy that there would be no, what's the word for it? You wouldn't recognize any proclamations. And that did away with the concerns they had there. But I think this is, to my mind, totally different than what the mayor was talking about with these other groups. And they may come at us, they may not, but I can't see anybody getting crazy about wanting to honor veterans and then trying to throw their political ideas in there.
So I don't think anyone would have a problem with honoring our veterans. No one's going to say that they have a problem with that. I don't think. I certainly don't. But it just brings up the fact of it's so and so day, and we would like to do this, right? You do it, you allow it here. Why can't we do it? And it just opens the door. Like I said,
Well,
that's my concern.
apples and oranges. So
I hear you.
But
Yep.
any other comments on this?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
can I provide some background on the bylaw?
please.
Okay, so this was brought up by last council, and we worked on it through about the last half of the year. Went to the table quite a few times. And it's something that's gaining momentum in municipalities around Canada. And it's for two reasons, at least from why Cardston passed it. So first was to keep focused on what a municipality in Alberta is supposed to be doing. Just keep it within those boundaries. And then second was to mitigate conflict. So people are going to disagree about what a municipality should be speaking on. And the function of this document, this device, is to say, we've already spoken. So we don't really need to kind of deal with it on a case-by-case basis. This bylaw did allow, according to the wish of council, that veterans and first responders would be recognized by flags. But crosswalks, they decided that they just wanted what Alberta Highways was doing. That wasn't really a mechanism that they wanted to use to address any other group.
I'm just wondering why this particular crosswalk is Medicine Hat. The premier jumped all over that, so this is a great thing.
If I could, and it's a good question, Councillor, and I'm not potentially opposed to whatever direction you go here, but keep in mind that Medicine Hat may be open to
Other
paint
things.
crosswalks and fly the flags of any
understand
special
that.
interest group that requests it. And so that doesn't offend them, potentially, right? Because they're willing to do that for anyone. The challenge and the legal challenge municipalities have found themselves in is that Group A comes in and says, we want you to fly our flag and paint our crosswalk. Okay, we're going to do it. And Group B comes in and the council says, no, we're not comfortable with that. Well, whoa, hold on a minute. You did it for them. So now you have a human rights challenge. And I understand, first of all, let me be very clear, Councillor Court, I understand that our veterans deserve a level of honor and respect that is not equal to every special interest group that will come to this chamber.
Agreed.
I fully believe that. However, the special interest groups, and some of them are quite militant in their legislation and litigation, and we've seen friends of ours across the country and municipalities who have been subject to that type of litigation. So, you know, I would hope, having been around for a while, that we have great infrastructure in place to honor our veterans currently. We do a great ceremony. It's well supported in the community. You've been involved in this chambers, for heaven's sakes, and the cenotaph, right? So I hope it isn't felt that if we don't do this one thing that we haven't done anything. I don't think that's appropriate to say. But again, this is a council bylaw. It's purely in your court. But the previous council spent. Oh, so I didn't think of that. But there was a lot of discussion about making sure that, you know, there was sound reasoning for choosing those things you were going to support, and to not waver too much for risk of legal problems.
When I look at Part 2, 5C, flags associated with Canadian Armed Forces, Canadian Veterans Associations, or first responders, in my mind, this is just a natural extension. Put a crosswalk out right over here and make it an exception if you want, or make it an addendum, or whatever you want to call it, that we would allow that to happen, but only that. I cannot see a problem with that, and I know I'm well aware of the militants out there that might howl about that, but to me this is important. I think we need to, I don't see it as a problem doing this, but I've talked to the Legion already. I've talked to Carrie. She's all over it. She was on this before I even talked to her. Carrie Bustos, the Legion president. And they've got plans for next year on this. So that's where I'm at with it, yeah.
I appreciate the efforts of the veterans for sure, but this makes me leery for the reasons that everyone has spoken about. I'm wondering if we've considered the White Crosses that Calgary is doing. That program up there is just huge and getting bigger every year, and with the veterans' names on it. And if we could
Yep.
use that program to further honor them.
I get a little bit tired of running scared of these groups.
Well,
Sometimes you need to stand up and say, this is right and that's wrong. Maybe that's because I'm getting old and I just don't put up with that crap anymore. But anyhow, but I appreciate what you're saying on that as well. Anything else on this? Yeah.
I wasn't privy to this coming forward, but I did read the bylaw before the meeting, and as I read it, I thought to myself, this is wisdom. I mean, this is really a good bylaw, in my opinion. And this does worry me too, that we would have to change this in some way.
Yeah.
And that opens us up for criticism, I think.
Well, I'm
Regardless of how much I would like to see this myself.
kind of getting a sense around the council that it's not really going to fly, so I will pass that information on to Carrie and tell her this, that according to our neutrality bylaw, that we're not going to be able to do this. So, yeah.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak towards it before you
Well,
have to go?
Like I say, like it's been saying, I think it's a great idea, but again, same kind of thing. It opens up a lot of criticisms from other groups of why we can't do certain things or why we can't do a crosswalk with this but yeah, it would be one of the, if you do this, you have to be open to other groups doing similar things, I would think.
I would disagree, but that's fine. Anybody up? Councillor Selk? You're the only one we haven't heard from, I believe.
I have to say that I don't know. It's walking a tightrope, and I can just see us getting requests from other interest groups that.
Hey, we'll just leave that one alone then. It'll stay the way it is. Policy reviews, dealing with,
I have to explain.
okay. Good job there, eh? Break a leg.
Yeah. It's more my hip I'm worried about.
You should worry about it.
So we'll be looking at dealing with complaints policy C10-1, presentation of council C25-1, policy D25-5, community donations, and policy C15-4. Before we go into that, does anybody need a break? Take 5 minutes? Or are you good to keep rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, we usually break around 6:30, so we'll just keep rolling.
So if I might, Councillor Court, Council, we wanted to bring these to you because you're going to deal with them a lot. So these are the common ones that are going to come to your table. You've probably all read through them now. In some cases, I don't have a lot to add, but in some cases, we did just want to touch on a few things from administration's point of view. So Councillor Court, if you're okay, and
Yes.
between Joshua and I, we just get firing through these. I promise a couple of them will take a minute, and some will be 5 or so.
You betcha.
But I'll turn to Joshua for the complaints.
Okay, so
I get to assign, so.
when I have the opportunity, I like to give you background documents in your council packages for context, and then touch on them as we go through anything I might present to you. So complaints is something that you'll hear a lot, and probably you've heard already running for office. So the guide that's included there is based on your council policy C10-1, and it provides an overview of how this organization manages complaints. So there's 4 different streams. Generally, complaints are going to come in these types. So it can be personal, and that's about the conduct of a councillor or staff member. Bylaw related, so someone thinks there was a violation of bylaw or provincial law. Political, so I disagree with the decision of council, and that would be as expressed in bylaw, policy, budget, any resolutions. And then a level of service, so dissatisfaction with service delivery, snow removal, garbage pickup, whatever. So then these 4 can be separated further into 2 groups. Yellow has to be received in writing, that's bylaw and personal, and green is written or verbal. Either one there is fine. So then the guide also describes the appropriate mechanism through which the complaint should come. But I'll just move on to why do we handle complaints this way. So first and foremost, time is of the essence. So the complainant is generally at a point where they're fed up, they want action, and we want to respond, both as council and administration. So the quickest way for action to happen is just get the complainant in touch with the appropriate party. And that's going to differ depending on the type of complaint. When it comes to personal and bylaw, written is really important because it's an accusation. And everybody has the presumption of innocence. And so an investigation needs to be conducted, and that starts with something in writing. So we have a form that's been developed for bylaw. It's available on the website. Paper copies in the office as well. And then personal would just be written whatever, and it's given to the head of council or the head of administration directly. Now for political or level of service complaints, I wrote in the bar there to think of it in terms of balanced and focused. So decisions need to account for the whole and benefit the whole. Now that's administration's perspective, because we have to account. It's our professional duty to be neutral. We have to think about everybody. So we're always going to be advising you from that position. And so your complaints, how well do they represent the whole? And then focused, the decisions need to start and end with Cardston. And that's reflected in your neutrality bylaw, which we just discussed. So that's kind of an overview there for you. Any questions?
Counselor?
Yep.
I just love this. This is fantastic. That's all I wanted to say. Really, 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 really good.
Councilor Porter, if I could just mention, we run into this time and time again when, you know, somebody pops in, hey, so-and-so's mad about this. Okay. Or, you know, this person's got this on their property, it needs to be dealt with. We send our peace officer in there with no context. We don't know where the complaint's coming from. He knows nothing about it. And so we've really been pushing people, look, can you please send that in? Fill out the form. A lot of times their answer is, no, I'm not even going to bother. That's how much it's bothering them. Mm-hmm. But at least then when they do that, we have some context. Why are you, normally what the peace officer will get on a bylaw related issue is, why are you at my house? Why are you here? Well, there was a complaint. Well, and we don't tell them by who, but at least he can say, look, this was complained about. This was observed. This was seen. This was recorded. This was, you know, your dog has been barking every hour on the hour for 48 hours. And here's what I have. So we've just found that we put our peace officer, when it is related to bylaw issues, in a really bad spot when it's just, hey, so-and-so called in, their neighbor's a jerk. Can you go deal with that? It's like, maybe, I don't know. Let me go see what that means. And then he has a difficult, you know, conflict with someone. They have a difficult conversation. And so we're just finding that helps. And for you as politicians, you want to be able to, you know, see someone in the grocery store, because certainly you can't go grocery shopping without getting disturbed. You know, we're okay that someone's just said to you verbally, this has happened. And I don't like this. I wish this was a case. Just please pass that on if you need to us, and we can check it out. But, you know, we're going to be careful to say, well, just because they're your neighbor doesn't mean we're moving you in the snow priority because your neighbor harps on you incessantly about it, right? That isn't what that means. Mm-hmm. So formalizing this, even in the office, because we get lots of phone calls, we're just trying to get this more formal. And so it's just not hearsay and we have arguments about it and that kind of thing. So we appreciate your participation in that too.
And I might just mention quickly that Shem's done a good job and reviewed just before this meeting the list of phone numbers. So that's on the website. All the department heads are listed and a phone number to reach them and their email.
One thing I'll just mention, sorry if I might, and I appreciate, because I know Maggie's in the back. We had a good thing going that I would ask you all to duplicate if you can. Someone would see her at the store downtown. Hey, I'm sick of this. Well, that's an administrative issue. Please go talk to the CAO. If he does not give you a response, or if he doesn't help you that way, get a hold of me and I'll follow up with it. And that worked really well. It's like she might even shoot me a quick text. Hey, Jan Smith is mad. She's coming to see you. Now I got a heads up. which is great. And then I talked to Mrs. Smith, and then we worked through it, and you might not get the answer you wanted, but we at least had that discussion. But it's perfectly appropriate to hold me accountable to responding to the public for administrative issues. Perfectly appropriate. But that way she wasn't saying, well, I'm going to go to Public Works and find out why. Please go talk to Jeff at the office, talk to Joshua, talk to Lenark, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, I can say that just before the meeting started, I had 2 complaints that I talked to and said, what's the direction? Who do I talk to? Both of them said, talk to you. So it's in place. The process is good.
Never talk to the workers directly.
Yeah.
That's Jeff's.
Yeah.
I'm just
Josh
used to
is
doing everything myself.
Well, that's fine. That's,
Oh, come and see me, and we'll take it from
We
there.
have people for that.
Yeah.
that's right.
Good.
No, we did.
Okay, so the next one, Counselor, and hold on, I minimize, is presentation to council. Very straightforward. This is something that if someone wants to come see you at council, I ask them to fill out that form. And it just makes sure that we have some idea of what they want to talk about. I give them the whole policy, by the way. So they're apprised of the terms of that presentation. Now, there are exceptions. So for example, on the 25th, Orsk is coming to speak, and we've invited them to speak. So I don't also I invited them. I asked them to come see us. So I don't say, hey, can you come see us? And by the way, please fill out this form and tell us why you're coming. Because, it was by invitation. So, but when someone comes in and says, hey, and you're going to have that on the 25th as well, there's a delegation coming. And they'll have their form and any background material. So you can always send people, I want to come to council. I want to talk about this. Hey, jump on the website and send that into the office. It's great. Or just come into the office. We'll give them one. That's perfectly fine too. But they can grab it on the website and they can see all the criteria that you only get 15 minutes. You can only have 2 people representing your delegation, those types of things. So again, nothing much more there. Just please be aware of it and use it as a tool. Community donations. This is one the previous councilors have probably just had it with. This was on the docket for
Years.
I think it almost hit a new record of consecutive meetings on the agenda. But, donations are always very tricky for you as counselors because there are far more good causes than there are resources to support them. And I mean that in time, I mean that in money, I mean that in whatever the resource we have is, there's more good things to do than you have resources for. And there's also an expectation from a lot of people that this is a good thing. It's going to help a business. You should just get behind it. And maybe you should in some cases, but it's not always the case. So the previous council did a lot of work on this to try and determine what is eligible and what isn't. And what do we want to hear and what don't we? And how much discretion do you want here and how much do you want with me? And what's the line? And so just please look that over. Send people to the policy. They can always come in and get a copy. It's also on the website. But you'll see, for example, in this new iteration, like a registered political party is not an eligible candidate. Events that are strictly tied to school or school curriculum. And that's partially because when you look at, it's almost another form of downloading, that this is a provincially funded endeavor that they're looking for municipal funds for. And also you guys are in the unfortunate position of having to decide what you're going to require your residents to donate to. It's not obvious that your residents want to donate to all the things that you may want to approve. And you just have to consider that. You're essentially taking their tax dollars and donating it on their behalf. So, there's just a lot of interesting quagmires you can get yourself into on donations in a hurry. So please look it over, just be familiar. We'll always help anyone in the office who's wondering. And help them guide through that. So that's all I wanted to say on that, unless there's any questions on donations.
I forget, within the budget, was there a cap on this for the year?
So right now there's just $1,000 sitting as a token amount until we have some discussion. It's always been fairly low. You have more of these kind of larger requests on a reoccurring, the handy bus, for example. They're expecting that annually. The Historical Society, Freddy's. So we have quite a bit of those. You don't get a ton. I shouldn't say, it depends on the year. Some years, there's been tens of thousands expended. So we'll get that number more realistic when we have a feeling of the demand near the end of the year.
But also we can say sometimes, as you know, counselor, it's They want the golf course for a day, right? They want to do a tournament, and so they want pool passes, or they want, so sometimes it's not always cash, sometimes it's in kind, so to speak.
And we're careful about that too, because we do get requests for a large quantity of manpower, machine time. And that adds up in a hurry. The value of that becomes huge fast. And so we're cautious about that too. We're willing, don't get me wrong, but we're cautious about it at times. So we'll deal with those in a case by case basis. But I would just ask you're familiar with it. It's a reoccurring policy you must grapple with. And then the last one is council communications policy. And this is one that may need a little bit of tweaking depending on the flavor and the appetite of your council on how you want to do this. But this is very similar to complaints in many ways. It just talks about, okay, if you get inquiries, council, hey, tell me about what's going on. What are you hearing about this? What are you hearing about that? What's going on with this? That there are appropriate ways, especially when they're media inquiries, there's appropriate ways to manage those. The media stuff can spin out of control fast if you're not careful. And so we always want to be quite cautious with that. But please just go through it and have a look. The previous councils have broken it up by formal and informal inquiries. So you get an email from Global News saying, I would like your statement, Councillor Court, as a deputy mayor, on the following controversial issue. It's like,
I'd say you're not getting it.
well, and you may just say, look, let me take that to my council and we'll decide if we're putting out a statement.
There you go.
You know, those are the types of things you want to get yourself comfortable with. Or it might be, look, we're going to send that to our CAO. We'll put that on a future agenda and we'll get back to you. Whenever it comes to media, you want to control, and not saying control the media, but you want to say, look, I'll give you the answer on my time frame and in the way I want to give it. You're not going to pressure me into a response that maybe could be manipulated. That's always something we have to be cautious of. And so just look that over about formal inquiries. About informal inquiries, you're going to get those all the time.
Generally speaking, the mayor is the one that speaks.
Yeah.
On behalf of council.
Yeah. So you can say, look, my mayor, we'll work with her. We'll get a position on this particular issue.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
But I mean, that just happened to me yesterday. Well, the week before, 2 weeks ago, CBC wanted to do an interview. And so I put a pin in him and I called administration because I thought, I'm not just hopping on this right now. I sat down with Jeff, ran over some things.
And you're willing to use me. Like, this is common with media would phone the mayor. Mayor would say, call my CAO. And I'd say, council doesn't have a formal position on that matter. But they may have one in a few days, but I have nothing to tell you at this point. And they're usually upset about that. They want the soundbite. They want me to say something juicy.
They want it twisted.
And I usually just say, look, we don't have a formal position on that yet. And we may never. But I can keep you posted if we come up with one. Other than that, we don't have anything to say. And thankfully, those are not frequent, by the way. That it's not common. Informal inquiries, again. People, hey, Councillor Selk, what do you know about this? If you're not, if it's factual, give them the answer. If you're speaking from you, just say that. Well, my opinion is this. Council hasn't made a decision on it yet. Don't commit your council members in conversation all the time because you may not agree. Social media use is kind of the same thing. Be careful. It's a cesspool of communication. I've never seen anything good come of it personally, but it's there and it's commonly used. So if you respond or comment on something, it's always good just to preface to say, look, we haven't discussed this as a council. I don't know what the council's opinion is. I think this. That's fine. You can have your opinion, but preface it just to be careful.
That is your opinion, not the opinion of council.
That's right.
So I got an email just the other day from a group, and they wanted my answer, and I thought that's way beyond me. And I talked to the mayor about it, and she handled it.
Yeah.
So did everybody else get that same one?
Which one?
I mean, I don't want to name it.
I did get that one.
Okay, so that was the right thing to do, though. Just not answer it and turn it over to the mayor.
Was that South Crow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was Annie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She had called and said she was just trying to get some feedback on.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. I know the
Yep.
context of that one.
Okay, so she didn't want everybody to answer.
Yeah.
She just wanted
Looking for a few.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
I was glad I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Someone South Dakota never got that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that just not included. You didn't get the memo.
The newbie, maybe.
One other thing just to be
Big part.
cautious of, we'll probably do some practicing on this at some point, but emergency communications. So I would just ask as the Director of Emergency Management, if we find ourselves in an emergency, only pass on the communications that have come out of the office.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can get the message mixed up fast. That'll happen anyway. That's going to happen by nature anyway. So just be very, very cautious. Normally, when we have an emergency, which are few and rare, thankfully, we're going to put out on the website what the communication is, and we ask everyone to simply direct everyone to that. You know, here's what I know, but check the website. You know, your neighbor's asking you, hey, here's what I know, but check this. And that tries to keep it consistent because it will go off the rails without our great efforts on its own, of its own volition, for sure. And then the one thing that you'll need to decide as a group here is previous councils have on occasion done letters to citizens. Mayor Cronin was a big proponent of the letters to citizens. She liked to do them herself. I don't know the appetite of Mayor Brown on this matter. So you just need to decide if that's something you wish to do and how you want to do it. And, you know, I think there's some benefit to them. It may be from time to time as there are interests to the greater community. It may be on some cadence of semi-annually or whatever you think, but I'll just take your direction on that.
So just in regards to that, at the forum, of course, I had nothing to do with it. I just sat there like everybody else, and y'all were up there. And a lot of what I heard from a lot of the counselors that were running were they felt that, or not necessarily they, but people had brought the fact to them that they think that the town of Curdston, previous council, we could do a better job at getting information out there. I never know what's going on. I don't see it here. I don't see it. You know, we never know. It's not in this. It's not in that. Now, I can stand up for, of course, our past mayor and say she lovely and did all the letters and we did our best. But obviously, it is a something that we need to look at. I don't know what changes we need. I mean, our previous council, we worked really hard on our calendaring, but some of the ownership has to come from the residents to say, where is it? Go to the town page and hopefully, yeah, we do have all of that information, but I would definitely say out of the majority of those that were running for council, that was a big one that y'all seem to talk about.
Councilor Court, if I could, and you're exactly right, Mayor. Transparency is always the key term in elections. What's fascinating with election cycles is no one pays any attention for 3 years, 11 months, and now they're mad they're out of the loop.
Yeah.
So now election time is
Right.
hit, and they're like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
look
it
at,
must be your fault.
Yeah.
look at our gallery tonight.
Yeah, right.
Here,
Yeah.
former mayor's here.
Yeah.
We
I
rarely
do
see
get-
people here.
I get this conversation from people on a semi-regular basis, and I will often ask, where do you go for information on the town?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Where do you go to get it?
Okay.
Well, I don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
What is your expectation?
Yeah.
I don't know. So short of me coming to your home, sitting down, having a snack, telling you everything that's going on from time to time.
Yep.
Sounds great.
That was the plan. Well, not like that, but well, where do you go for the information? And so it's
Yeah.
very normal in election cycles that, again, no one cares for 3 years and 11 months. Now they're trying to scramble to get informed, and they're saying now they're out of the loop.
But I can say, I think we can always do better.
Sure.
And I don't think there is anything wrong with, I have to look at how often I want to be writing these fabulous letters because that sounds like a lot of fun. And or
GTP.
I know, or what that looks like. Are we using the paper more? Are we online more? I mean, I did tea with the Chinook did tea with the mayor today. And so I sat down with them and answered questions. And something that a lot of those seniors brought up was the fact of, if it weren't for the newspaper, that's where we get our information from. And clearly I wasn't going to say to the 99-year-old man that I was talking to, well, you need to look online, right? Because that wasn't his. So I think it is important that we do, different levels of doing it. But yeah, I think we can do a little bit better. I don't know what that looks like yet,
Sure.
but I think we will talk about that in our planning session.
Yeah. So I just bring it to your attention. Think about that kind of stuff. It's important.
Yes.
Can I just bring this up? I was at the interagency meeting this afternoon at noon today, and it was a consensus that the website, town website, needs to have more information than just the calendaring. For example, these programs, FCSS and library, and that they have multiple programs within them. And their feeling is they don't know where to put the information out. They put it posters, they do the newspaper, they do everything they can, and they still have people coming to them saying, I didn't know anything about it until it's all over. And so this group's feeling was, couldn't we just use the town website and increase whether it's a drop-down menu or linking or anything like that for the different programs, and get everybody educated in the town that they should go to the town council
There's the
meeting.
key, educating them to go to the
Yeah.
website.
Yes is the answer to your question, Counselor, but I just want to give an example, and I'm not being defensive about it all. They're all right.
Yeah.
The town calendar and website is set up that anyone can submit events. And we've gone to great efforts to talk to everyone in every agency, committee, business to do it. In fact, a number of years ago, this is a while back, we sent a representative to all the community groups we could list in the town to start posting their things there, and 0 did it. I don't mean a few did. I don't mean 25% uptake. I mean 0. And we sent someone at expense to every single group in the community, and no one took it on. So the calendar is set up that everyone, and we draw from other calendars too. We draw from school, we draw from a few of them, and anyone can submit things on there. And we have a few groups now that are really good with it, which I really appreciate. So I know Epic uses it a lot, and the Ag Society sometimes is really, really good with it. And so some groups are. It's a very much a lead a horse to water scenario, because we can't force them to do it, but we try and make that available. But we can always go back at that again too, and try and do another campaign.
Okay, I'll take that back to them.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with having a link. Links are incredibly, like we do. We have different links on our website. Touch into here and it'll take you there. We could have an FCSS link where you could go into, because it is something. Well, we do, but it has all of the programs that we fund, but it doesn't have per se their calendars in there. Because I looked at it last night because Councillor Smith brought it up to me, and I couldn't see where there was anywhere where a calendar. But I'm thinking if we had an FCSS link, other than the drop-down one that we have, that you could just go in and bang, you could pull up what the calendar was. That just a thought.
It's always who's populating that calendar.
Yep.
That's always the question.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it would be
This is the
them.
calendar here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are we done with that?
We are.
To require a 5-minute break, then we'll finish up
Okay.
other businesses and anything else we may have.
I make a motion for a 5-minute break.
All in favor? Thank you.
Mayor Brown, I see what you're saying. It's got the contact from
Yeah.
every program.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Could we have a motion to bring us back into,
Motion
To reconvene.
to reconvene?
Move to reconvene.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, we are now into other business. Who's just dying to go to the Fort McLeod
You are not required, by the way, but it's an option.
parade on the 29th? You don't have to
Is
write
this
outsiders.
is this a carriage or a car? Obviously, maybe not a carriage.
Probably the car.
No, we have a carriage available. The Remington will take a carriage if you want one. You can take your car if you want the heat on. But if you,
Well, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I think it might be fun for me and my family to go,
Okay.
unless another counselor wanted to go. But
Do it.
We'll
Um,
put you down for that then.
if it's freezing cold, I don't want a carriage. But I don't know how soon the Remington needs to know.
yeah, we need to let them know. But I would agree if it's 20 below, we can probably make
Just
call
don't
an audible. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Counselor Kenley. We'll put you down for that.
We'll do just it's Councilor Court.
Yep.
I almost called you Mr. Court going back to 1993.
I get it all the time.
Social studies in grade 10.
Oh,
Okay.
hilarious.
What I'll do is I'll put that on your next agenda just to
Okay.
ratify with a motion for his per diems and all that stuff too.
Good. Other business. Welcome wagon. Counselor Smith, you wanted to talk to this?
Sure. So this thought came because I've seen numerous posts saying, can you tell me what the resources and the businesses are in town? And I don't know how to find out and everything. And then I remembered my good experience with Welcome Wagon. So I thought, well, I know the purpose of Welcome Wagon is to let the people of the town or the community know about all the businesses and services that are available. And it's a welcoming and friendly way to introduce people to the town. And so then I thought, well, I wonder if that would work. I mean, I know it's an old program. It's been around since 1929 or something like that, but it's just one of the retail marketing plans or programs that's around for getting the existing businesses to be more well known by new people in the town. So that was my thought.
Who would set something like that up? It wouldn't come through the town, I wouldn't think.
Well, I don't know. Does it meet any of the qualifications for FCSS? Probably not, but maybe Chamber of Commerce or
They would probably be your best bet to try and get something like that rolling. We find that the town quite often, people bring a program in and it's all great for the first few years, then all of a sudden the town's running it again. So something like that, I think you're right. The chamber might be the approachable one.
One thing just to know where to park this, if at all. And I appreciate Councillor Smith came. We visited about this earlier. This could be something, if you want, either we can defer it to another group and see if there's interest, or we can park it along with the inventory of things you come up with at your first strategic planning session. And then you can prioritize with all the other things the group wants to do and see how it pans out. I think that's a couple different places you could do with it. And I wouldn't mind just a little direction for now. Maybe Councillor Smith, if you have a preference there, and then I can make sure it shows up where it needs to show up next.
Okay, well, what the one you said sounds good.
Can I just ask a question? When's the last time it was operated?
Well, I think from here, it was like 2008. It's still in existence around in other communities and cities and stuff like that, but here it hasn't been going for a while, right?
And was it the seniors that ran it, or was it the chamber?
If I might, Councillor Court and Jill, you and I started about the same time. I told Councillor Smith I vaguely remember it my first couple of years here, and it was volunteer driven, and they would come to us for information about title change, maybe, or if we
had a little welcome basket that we gave them some things.
Yeah, I just vaguely remember it pushing back in 08, 09, something like that. But we were a participant, certainly, but I wasn't involved directly.
Well, yes, it was.
Schuyler.
It was.
Okay.
Oh,
That's exactly who it was because she brought it to me.
All right, so
Counselor?
yes.
So I would like to direct administration. I think this is what you're wanting. We want to direct administration to put this on the agenda for our strategic planning session.
Okay. All in favor?
actually, You can't have a vote on it,
Oh,
sorry.
no.
Oh, no,
Because we just directed
Just
administration.
say, bring this back and I'll
Yep.
do that for
That's
you.
what we
for
did.
Nobody's
sure.
in favor. We
Is
just
there
direct
anything
it.
that I need to do in the meantime to prepare for that, since I brought this forward? I mean, I've already talked to the post office twice about our
Oh,
idea
good.
about and we can't because there's federal law
Yeah.
that says you can't put any signage or anything up like that. But she came up with a good idea. Should I
Which
tell
we
you?
can talk about
Yes.
at that time.
Okay.
So I would say just continue to investigate, Counselor.
Okay.
And as I get that agenda ready, I'll come to you
Okay.
and we'll put some things together.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Carly Taylor and Grand Fondo, any discussion on this?
If I could just preface it, so for the previous counselors, this is the same ask as last year. Now, you can't make a resolution in this meeting, but they are looking to get their permitting going. Really, what I'd like to know is, do you see any issue with the date change and the things they are requesting, which again is status quo from last year, which is use of the EJ Wood, closing off some roads, and a few things like that.
Councillor Kenley.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did they ever come report on their last one?
Not formally, no.
I just know, I thought we had talked about that being in our
Yeah.
thing that they need to, to be eligible for such and such, they need to come report on their event prior. So I would like that to happen.
Okay.
They're not asking for any funding, they're asking for road blockage and the use of EJ Wood, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is asking for something, no?
Yeah, that's right. I
Anyways.
agree. We could maybe get a hold of her and see what she's got for us.
And she's willing to obviously come. I know she will, but it's just I'd like to hear. It's always good to hear, how events go in town.
Here,
So I guess, Jeff, in regards to this, so you're looking for what from us?
Just, if
Just to
there's
see if
no
we support?
objection, then what I could do is, again, tell Carly, look, council, there's no objection to it. Go ahead and start your paperwork. I'll get a ratifying motion at the next meeting.
So what I can say is I completely support this. Economic growth and development is huge. They bring a lot of people into Curdston. They're eating at our restaurants. They're buying groceries. They're staying at our campgrounds. It's checking all my boxes that I personally have. So personally, I would support this.
could you mention to her that we would like some kind of
For
report?
sure.
Got it. You bet.
For sure.
So am I okay to tell them to plan on it and
Yep.
we'll ratify this
So
going
it's a
forward?
great thing.
Sounds great, thank you.
Okay. Alberta municipalities information. You were wondering if anybody needed a ride up there?
So I just want to do a couple things. I put some orientation information for you about who they are. We don't need to go over that tonight. I did include their resolutions book. Now you have time to discuss this even up there as you're sitting around the table. And what I appreciated, by the way, and for those of you who've been before, way less
Yeah, I
resolutions.
saw that.
Yeah.
Like that is so encouraging to see that we're not going through 85 of these stinking things. So I was very, very happy about that. It is not required. You can all vote individually how you feel about these things, but these are the resolutions that Alberta municipalities will lobby for on behalf of the municipalities going forward. And it's done by vote of the elected officials in the room. So like Joshua and I won't be voting, but you guys will vote. You do not have to vote in unison, but it is oftentimes the case that it makes sense to say, our community could benefit from that. We should all make sure we support that. Or we should not support that. We should be opposed to that thing. Now, whether or not you want to go through, it's a bit of a process to go through all of these. So maybe there's a couple that some of you feel strongly about, or we make a point over breakfast up there to go through a few. I leave it with you I just want to make sure you're aware.
This is not binding. They present this to the provincial government. We presented a few years ago. Councillor Brown got up and talked,
Not on libraries.
and we passed the resolution, but the province decided not to do anything. So that's what those are. This is all online as well, so no problem there. Okay, council
Oh,
strategic.
sorry, one other thing.
sorry.
Sorry. So for the 11th,
rides.
for the 11th, I just want to talk some logistics. Councillor Johnson will be away, but the rest of us, Joshua and I, and the 6 of you are going to the conference. So I've got hotels booked. Councillor Kenley, I just have yours for the 2 nights checking out Thursday night.
Yep.
If that changes, please tell me. You're not as confident.
Well,
as was
I might
hoping you
stay.
were
I
gonna
might stay another night. I don't. If not, I might just. Okay.
be. I'm sure they're happy.
I
to
will be
sell
there
me
for
the
those
night.
2 days though.
Yeah. So I've got you and Councillor
I have
Winder.
to convince
just
my
fixed
wife
it.
to let me stay up another night.
Okay. So right now I have all of you for the night of the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So checking in the Tuesday, checking out the Friday.
And you and I talked, I'm subject to,
Depending on your mother-in-law, absolutely.
Yep.
Counselor Winder and Kenley I have for the 2 nights, but we can change that. And I just want to make sure, is there someone, I know Counselor Smith, you mentioned you need to drive because I think your husband, you're
No,
gonna.
we've taken care of it. My daughter's gonna take him, so I'm there
Okay.
at the conference for as long as we need, but that Friday morning I would check out.
Yep.
I have to take him.
Yep. So I don't mind who drives. If you want to take your own vehicle, you want to do something else, you got other things to do. I just don't want to leave someone wondering when I'm picking them up. That's essentially what I want to make sure. So Joshua and I can share, we'll take the town car and we can take 2 more people. So I just need.
I'll be driving myself.
Okay.
Sorry. I won't be up there till I work Tuesday, so
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to get up there till like 11 o'clock midnight on Tuesday night. So
Can I ask, how are we gonna get from the hotel to the conventions?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
So those that want to walk, if the weather's mild, can walk. Otherwise, I'll call an Uber. I
Okay.
go down in the lobby and start calling Ubers. It's $7 to
And
get
they're
you
like
over
that.
Oh, okay.
and it's worked pretty well.
Well, and they have the shuttles
Yeah,
too.
actually, oftentimes I'll run
Yeah.
a shuttle too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, there is one out that
We have
hotel too, I
shuttles that
remember.
pick us up and will take us
Yeah.
right
And
to.
I've heard they
Like
have really
4 or 5
good,
blocks to walk or something like that.
Yeah.
they have really good French onion soup at the one of the restaurants in there.
So
The keg.
I'm not trying to be, I mentioned this, I'm not trying to be cheap, but to stay at like the Leisure Main or the Fairmont, they negotiate rates of like $350, $375 a night for those hotels.
Yeah.
And for 8 rooms for 3 nights, like it gets big fast. So generally we have stayed a few blocks away, at Arts or the Sandman, but I'm in at $220 a night. So I found that if I got to grab an Uber a couple times a day,
Cheaper.
that's way cheaper to do that. And I'm happy to do it for you.
So yeah, I'm good to go. It'll just be me.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll hitch a ride.
Yep. Sounds good.
That's okay.
Josh and I can pick you up.
And on the road.
But I mean, I will have the Remembrance Day.
Oh yeah, we're not going till later that
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay.
I'd like to be up there by about 5 if we can, because there's
Great.
a CAO dinner at 6.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just booked until
Yeah.
noon. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, total. I'll be there. So yeah, it's all good.
So where are we staying at?
The Hotel Arts.
The Hotel Arts.
So it's just like, it's points, what is it? It's 3/4 of a kilometer from the Calgary
Yeah.
Tower. It's just south,
Okay.
west and south, just a little bit. So last time we have walked it, it wasn't too bad. But if it's terribly cold, or
When
snowy.
we stayed there, I just had surgery.
Right.
I'm getting surgery. So
You were in a
you got
booth,
me
yeah.
Ubers all the time. So
Yep.
my Achilles, yeah.
That night, I just wanted to clarify too. So Wednesday night, Wednesday night, I wouldn't mind booking a dinner for everyone. Do any of you know who's going to have a spouse there? You
I'm
won't.
not.
Jim's not coming. So 3. Okay. And I'll check with Counselor Winder. Counselor Kenley, you're solo? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's fine. And I'll check with Counselor Winder and I'll book us in somewhere next week or so.
Sounds good.
There's a couple places that are, well, even at the hotel, they got a decent restaurant apparently with some good French onion soups.
Oh, that's what my kids say.
I'll check it out. All right, that's all I needed on that.
Okay, so we are now on to, this is just kind of a review for new counselors where we're at with the previous strategic priority review here. Now, I don't know if you want to go through that or if they can just look through it on themselves
No,
or.
I put it in there just for reference. We'll continue to try and close up some of those items. They didn't just lose their priorities. Some of that stuff is very much in process. So we'll still try and close up some of those things. You can just see a lot of it was completed. I just wanted you to have it as you go into your strategic planning session. What were some of the things that were focused on? What were some of the things that council, the previous one, did? And and we'll continue to try and tidy up what we can on anything outstanding.
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
sorry. I don't know if this is appropriate to talk about it now, or if we can even talk about stuff. Can we give updates on like our big projects that are undergoing, or do you want to do that later? Like our treatment plant, the golf course, where things are at.
Yeah,
just
there-
for the new council.
Yes, to answer the question for sure. I'd like to do most of those in a closed session because we have some
Okay, that's good.
decisions to make there too.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks.
So I was planning on that hopefully on the 25th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna be sad to miss that meeting. Probably lots going on. So, okay, is there anything else? There's correspondence from Orskin for Alberta Southwest you can look at. Those that are now on the Orsk board and those that are Alberta Southwest.
We've informed all your committees, external committees, who the reps are, your emails, all that stuff. So you should start getting correspondence from them.
Okay. There is no confidential items, so
There's not.
we're waiting for one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I hear you don't even have to vote on that, so.
We gotta check that out, by the way. Go ahead and vote on it, 'cause there's no harm in
Motion
it.
adjourned.
Thank you.
If you wanna stay, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate to never